Hi team, Coach Alexa here. My video today is going to be about sports bras. I would say sports bras are the second most important bit of running kit for those of us who have breasts. Running shoes being top of the list, which I've covered in previous videos and will continue to cover in future videos, no doubt. But sports bras for those of us who have breasts are the second most important piece of running kit. And that is primarily because running is a high impact sport. So when we land, our feet hits the floor, we get approximately 4 times worth of our body weight of force coming through our body. Now this is why running, gradually increasing your running training and doing strength training, etc. are all really useful to gradually build up and get our body accustomed to that force coming through our skeleton and our muscles, joints, etc. But our boobs are on a bit of they're kind of out on their own in that they're not controlled by our muscle or skeleton. They're held in place by some ligaments and they do have a movement pattern completely of their own. So there's some really interesting technology, if you fancy reading up about it, that goes into creating sports bras, particularly for high impact sports like running, because there is a complicated and 3-dimensional, almost sort of figure of 8, but more complicated than that because it's in 3 dimensions, not 2, movement pattern that our breasts go through when you're doing high impact sports like running. So there's a lot of technology in trying to minimise and control that movement to basically allow not to get breast pain on runs, but also that there's not too much force over time going through the breast tissue and the ligaments, which can lead to longer term damage. So what are we looking for then in a sports bra? First of all are the 2, sort of technologies or ways that sports bras try to minimise the movement of the breast tissue. First one is compression. So that's basically squishing the boobs quite tightly into your chest. And much like if you were, holding a cup of coffee away from you with your arm extended versus holding a cup of coffee here, something that's closest to you will have less kind of force acting on the body. So, there's a couple of sports bras that I've got that I use for walking, strength training, cycling, where there's a lot less of that impact going through the body. And that's all they do. They sort of squish the boobs in towards your rib cage that little bit more. The other piece of technology is the really clever bit for more high impact sports like running, and this is called encapsulation. So this is what controls that 3-dimensional movement of the breast tissue. So it's not just going up and down, side to side and out and in, it's a kind of combination of all of those movements at once. So there's very clever, complicated layerings of different fabrics in different directions to control that movement. And that's why sports bras will cover the whole of your boobs. You're not going to get like a normal bra, for example, where it just sort of cuts across and you've got a little bit of breast tissue that is visible out the top. Sports bras will control the whole of each breast to make sure that they control all of that movement for you. And this is important for all size of breasts, from really quite small to really large. You do want to make sure that that movement is controlled. Obviously, it will probably be a bit more noticeable if it's not when you've got a larger bust, but regardless of size and shape of boobs, you do want to make sure that that movement's controlled, as I say, just to minimise the long-term implications of all of that impact loading going through the tissue in the breast and around them and supporting them. So a few people ask me about recommendations for brands for sports bras, and it's a little bit like my answer when it comes to running shoes, and that is the best bet is to go to a running shop and get them properly fitted. So in the same way that if you want your everyday bra to properly fit, it's the best idea to go and get a bra fitting by a specialist in a clothes shop. The same is true for running bras. If you can, please do try and get to a running shop and get a proper bra fitting done. That's the best way of making sure that it fits correctly. A lot of us get our bra sizes wrong, and also there's a lot of variation in bra sizes. They aren't necessarily exactly the same on different makes and manufacturers. So getting a proper fitting in a running shop is going to be the best bet, and ideally a running shop that allows you to then try on a treadmill or in the shop or maybe up and down the road a little bit of a test run just to make sure that they feel really comfortable. Ideally getting a couple so that you can, you know, swap them and have one in the wash. And ideally looking out for other things that are usually fairly common in running specific sports bras, quite thick straps with cushioning or padding in them maybe to distribute the load to minimise chafing. Making sure that there aren't any, you know, visible or tactile seams on the inside, again to minimise chafing. You'll often find that there's quite a wide band at the bottom, so compared to an everyday bra where the little bit of elastic at the bottom might be, you know, 0.5 centimetre wide, you want or less, you want a decent wide band again to distribute the load and to minimise chafing on a sports bra. Often you will get ones that clip at the back, that have crossovers, that some of them are pull on over the head, which I hate because I always have this fear of getting stuck. Some of them are front clasp, which do make things quite a bit easier in the wrestling match to get them on. But as I say, try, get a fitting if you can. If not, go to a good running specific shop and try a load on. Give them a bit of a test run and see which works both for you. Definitely worth the investment, just looking after your boobs in the longer term when you run. And as I say, it will hopefully make the running itself more comfortable and a little bit easier on the chest as well.